Welcome to the Lush Mind podcast. I'm Laurie.
I'm Keisha.
And we're the Gospel Twins.
So we talk about all things to grow, flourish, and prosper in life.
So come with us.
So welcome back to this week's episode where we're going to talk about all things hot topic dating.
Now, the theme that we're really going for is modern dating. There's a lot of different things that we've come across as we've journeyed out into the modern dating. And, we want to really dive into some of those topics and, get you guys' feedback as well of how your dating life is going and what you guys have, encountered as well.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So feel free to comment, like, and share.
All right. So, Keisha, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We did a little poll, a little study of some of the common questions and some of the common things that people are encountering as they date in 2025. So, question number 1. What feels the hardest about dating right now versus what feels the easiest dating in the past?
That is a good question.
It is.
So what feels hardest now versus before?
Before was definitely easier.
It was easier because I feel like connecting with people was easier before, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I think pre-COVID, there was so much more social activities. You're outside a lot more, like less restrictions. So I think it was easier back then to meet people, where nowadays it's harder to meet people. Just because not a lot of people are outside like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that for sure. Like, it's been a lot more harder nowadays. I think over the last few years, and we can say COVID and everything else that's happened since COVID.
True.
I feel like socially people have changed. You know what I mean? And the way that we communicate, even on a day-to-day basis, it has become a lot more structured and kind of more like work talk versus actually like getting to know people and chatting and laughing and even being on like a bus or walking in a mall, saying hi when you see somebody. It's something that's not really done as much as it was before.
Okay.
That's how I've kind of noticed it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think that's a good point when you say socially. Like, I don't know if it's like people are just more nervous now because they don't want to get rejected, or they don't, have the courage, or whatever the case may be, because again we've been isolated for a while. So before, I agree with you, it was a lot more people talking, people interacting because they wanted to be social with others. So yeah, it's definitely harder for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely harder. I mean, there's things that could be applied to make it a little bit easier. You know what I mean? Like putting ourselves in and going to environments where you're supposed to try and talk with other people.
Yeah.
And like, I remember recently where we went to like this little like social thing on the rooftop. I can't remember what it was called.
The dating game or something like that.
Yeah. So this is something that was happening in Toronto. Never been to something like that in my life.
Yeah, first time.
But it was kind of cool to see how like they're trying to incorporate modern dating, and it was more like everybody comes to the rooftop.
Yeah.
There's games involved. There's different tables, different activities. They had people put their name in like 2 different like buckets and like guy bucket, girl bucket, and draw 2 names. And then the 2 names that were drawn, they have to go to like the back and like sit in like a little like table for 2 and talk. And, so that was something that was a good experience to try and come out of, post-COVID and diving into dating now.
And I think even it's good that you brought up that event, because with that event, even people at the event were scared to put their names in the little bucket to go on this mini date that we're at the back of the roof or whatever. So it's like that everybody was just so nervous, even though we're in a setting where it's meant to be like everybody's talking, everybody's socializing. Like sometimes you're more comfortable in a group setting versus like a one-on-one setting. So I feel like that's why a lot of people were nervous. But people were putting themselves out there, and I've seen a lot of connections happening. So I think it was more so just kind of getting back into the groove of talking to somebody one-on-one and not being afraid,
Exactly.
So that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, that was definitely a different experience. I know I was one of those people who was a little bit still shy, and I was a bit more reserved. I was just more so like watching the interactions and taking it all in, because again, like it is very new. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only are we there to like connect with other people, but it's like you never really know who's for you, who's not, who's interested, who's not.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing people talk to like 7 other different girls in front of you.
Yeah,
that's kind of a little bit different for me. You know what I'm saying? It felt a little bit like, okay, let's look at this as like a friendly invite to talk to people, because typically you wouldn't be seeing someone that you're interested in. Like if you see someone at the club, you may see them talk to one other girl, but you're not seeing them talk to like 7.
Yeah.
So I think it was a new experience, but it was good to help with that modern day getting out of your shell, and talking to strangers. You know what
and
I mean?
I think too, it kind of touches on like how dating is now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like online when you're talking to a bunch of people, like you're not actually seeing when you're talking to the other person.
That's
they
true.
have 10, 20, 30, whatever people on that list. So seeing it in person is different for sure. But I think too, it's kind of keeping the lightheartedness essence of it, where it's like, okay, yeah, I might have gave my number, and yeah, I might have seen him grab another girl's number, but it all comes down to, again, like that connection afterwards, like seeing how the follow-up goes, seeing is he reaching out, seeing how the connection goes, like not just putting too much pressure, like, oh, like he can only get my number that night and that's it. Like, because the whole point is like you want to interact with other people, because you may give them your number thinking like, okay, there's some interest, and then you may end up talking to somebody else and realizing, okay, we have a lot more in common. So now what, you're not going to give your number out twice? Like, it's kind of like you have to kind of take it with the situation.
Yeah, of course.
But it is definitely awkward, for sure, especially
100%.
if it's somebody you really vibed with.
Yeah, exactly. Or say you like and another girl both are eyeing someone down. Like you can tell, like, because everyone starts to huddle around the person. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I like, as much as it was a good way to come out of our shell, it was definitely an experience. That's all I can say. And like, I'm not even gonna like bash it. It was a way to come out of our shell, and that's really like where I'll keep that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely was new for sure.
Okay, so let's go to question number 2. How much has dating app fatigue hit you or people you know? Are you more likely to want to meet in real life sooner now? Yes or no?
I would say when I was on the dating apps, because I feel like I kind of stopped it now. We had this conversation in the last episode, but I'm more of an in-person type girl. So when I was on the dating apps, essentially, I think I still would have wanted to meet up with the person sooner versus kind of letting the conversation lag a little bit, because you want to really see if there's a connection. And sometimes it's easier to see that when you go on a date, when you meet up for coffee or whatever the case may be, versus online back and forth. But also, too, like I would see how the conversation was going. If it was, quick, they was responding, or the questions they were asking, kind of getting some more insight in that would even let me know, like, do I even want to meet this person face to face, because the conversation's kind of dry.
Yeah.
So I would say it was a little bit tiring. You don't always get to the dating stage where you meet them in person. So it didn't hit me hard though, because I wasn't on it long. But how do you feel about it? Because I know that's more
for me, like I definitely can be tiring and get fatigued, because it's like not everyone's serious. You know what I mean? And like, because not everyone's serious, and some people are just play. Which, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. Like, we all have our season of playness. Yeah. It's true. A lot of play. But I think it's a tough one, because there's different levels of dating. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people who are dating who are actually serious and intentional. There's people who are dating who just want situationships and just something light. There's people who are dating who don't even want a situationship. They generally want a one-night stand or something fast like that. So I think weeding through the different type of people can be a little bit exhausting. Or sometimes what will happen is like you're talking to someone and they seem serious, but then they're not. You know what I mean? So I think then it's like you feel like, okay, like, did I waste so much time? But I think the way that I try and manage it as best as possible is like, I really try to keep it light. Like, I'm not going in and saying like, okay, the first conversation, I need kids and marriage and a ring and this and that. And you know what I mean? Like, keeping it super light, generally just getting to know the person, and even seeing if there's a bare minimum connection. I think that's the best way to slowly approach things. Is there a connection? Yes or no? If there's not, I keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like, no harm, no foul in that aspect. And then if things kind of progress a bit more, then I'll say, okay, well, what are you looking for? Because this is what I'm currently interested in. And kind of see the fruits and see how the person reacts. I think always tying God into it helps, especially as Christians. And praying too, like, I even said to God, like, recently, I said, honestly, God, like, I want to make sure I'm being intentional with everything I do. You know what I mean? So I don't want to waste any time on these apps and just scrolling and swiping, just like Instagram and every other app. Like, I do want to be intentional and make sure if it's not for me, remove it, and, allow me not to get like tripped up on any foolishness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wonder though, like, even in that sense of the online dating, online speaking to somebody, would you recommend in this day and age to even jump on a phone call first with the person?
You mean before meeting them?
Before meeting them, yeah. Whether it's like a regular call, even a video call, just to be like, yo, do you actually look like what you look like on the pictures?
That's fair. Because a lot of that's happening too, where it's like, you'll see a picture and it's like, bro, that looks like 10-year-old pictures. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you ask them, hey, how old is your picture? And they tell you, oh, that's from 5 years ago or 2 years ago. And I'm like, come on, like 2 years is a long time, let alone 2 months. Like people can gain weight, lose weight, whatever the case is in 2 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your hair could fall out in that 2 months, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So it's like, I personally would hope that people just come as you are so that we can choose as we choose. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yes, to your point, definitely phone call. Sometimes even if you're a busy person, voice notes are good. Yeah. Because I find like it kind of helps to build that connection by leaving a voice note. They hear you. Yeah. You hear them. Okay, you're alive. You're real. You know you're not a robot.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's people doing that too. All the AI stuff, right?
It's a lot happening.
And then, of course, escalate it to a phone call or FaceTime.
Yeah. Because I think too, like even with that scenario, like dating can be expensive, especially if the men are always paying, and like that's kind of how it is in this world, you know, and the expectation of daters in this world.
Going on real dates.
Going out on real dates.
Yeah.
So even for them, like it would be beneficial for them to jump on a FaceTime, jump on a phone call, like to see again, is there a connection first?
Yeah.
And it kind of helps weed it out from both perspectives. So
this is a little side note, but even how you talked about like dating and how it's been a bit more expensive and things like that. Like I've noticed some people will be like, oh, like, you know, for a first date, let's grab a coffee or let's go for a walk or, you know, all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about that approach?
Honestly, I would say probably the back in the day me, outside in life, living life, me would have been like, oh, like that's so like basic. I would want something more a little bit like established, like a dinner or even like going somewhere where it's like an event space, like an arcade or like a, you know, something like that where you're still interacting, but it's a little more upscale than the average coffee date. But I think now, to your point, it's kind of like, again, like trying to weed it out quickly. Like if coffee's where it's at and like that's the quickest option, like we can get to know each other, like let's do it. At the end of the day, if we now progress to a second, third date, then my expectation might reach up a little bit where it's like, okay, maybe next time we do dinner or something. But I think in this day and age, like coffee dates now are kind of the quick, easy way to connect with people, you know?
I think, like you said, you know, before I would have been a little bit more like, bro, a coffee date, like
at Tim's
or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even a fan of Starbucks.
I know,
I'll take Tim's.
I'm just saying, you know, something more elevated.
Yeah, of course, something like a little bit more than just your average drive-through, right? No, honestly, before I would have been like, nah, like, that's crazy talk. You know what I mean? Like a coffee shop.
Yeah.
But I also understand nowadays money's tight for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's hard times.
The economy is different, you know. Back in the day, people could afford to take girls on many different dates because it would be like, what, $20 at Jack's?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't too bad. Where now it's a lot more expensive. I still, of course, would want, you know, somebody to take me somewhere nice.
I'm not gonna dining.
A little wine and dining. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to be able to dress up. I can't dress up at Tim's. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna look crazy. You're gonna look crazy. My aesthetic just isn't a Tim Horton kind of gal. Yeah. But I understand as I roll my eyes. I understand.
At least an ice cap, not a coffee.
A large ice cap, because now I have to stay awake and look into your eyes across the Tim Hortons table. Anyways, for the story is I'm trying to be open.
Yes, exactly.
I'm trying my best because I am used to like back in the day where we would go on dates and you wear your heels and you know, even if it's a lunch date, you have your wedges, your summer heels on and you know, it was a Toronto thing to do was to get out the house and do something like, you know, outside. But I do have grace, especially if I'm getting to know the person.
Yeah.
And I like, you know, and like they say they have a good job, whatever. Then I will give them some grace. But like you said, like, okay, date 1, we can go for a walk, get a coffee, a tea, whatever. But date 2, you can't be taking me now to Starbucks after Tim Hortons. Like, it can't be 2 coffees back to back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to change
it. You have to change it, honestly. So, and don't take me to no juice bar. Like, I don't need booster juice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, coffee is good for the first, fine. But after that, we have to have some kind of level up.
Yeah.
To show that you're serious, too.
And I think even in that, like, it kind of differentiates the type of guy when you see how they approach a first date.
That's true.
Because as much as a coffee date is, you know, economic, it's cheap, it's easy, those who actually take the time to plan something legit and like plan a nice dinner or plan like a whatever activity, whatever it may be, it really kind of puts them in a caliber to say like, you're still willing to put out even though you haven't got to know me fully or even though you haven't really, you know, seeing if I'm worth, quote unquote, like spending that or doing whatever, it does kind of put people in a different caliber. And I think it's a quick way, even for us as women, like just to kind of see the intention. Because how much a man's willing to spend on you kind of goes hand in hand with how much he values you. And
inadvertently,
kind of,
like I think it's not like, it isn't something that's new. Like this is something that really has just been implanted from the test of time. Like genuinely, so, and it's not to say that we're looking for people who have money and we're trying to like, go out and get free meals or anything like that. It's not to say that. I think it's just like what you're saying. Like sometimes you want to see if somebody is willing to invest in you. Yeah. Because I think as women, especially nowadays, like we do invest a lot into a relationship, into like we pour into men. Like we really do try and go above and beyond when it comes to relationships. So it's nice to see somebody trying to invest that back on the front end at the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to question number 3.
3 already, eh?
I know. Okay. Do you feel like people are more upfront about what they want? For example, casual versus serious? Or do you feel like they're still vague and wishy-washy? Let me start this because you start all of them. So let me start this one. No, they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like some people are. Yeah. But some of them will still try and kind of cat and mouse you and make it seem like, oh, like I'm looking for something serious. But I love your booty. You know what I'm saying? No, seriously. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, if you're looking for something serious, your words and your actions aren't lining up. You don't even ask me like, the basic questions before talking about pictures and body. So I think they may think they're being serious by saying that they want a long-term relationship, and maybe deep down they do. Yeah. But right now, I don't see that. Yeah. Some people are straight up. And the ones who are straight up, those are the ones you can take serious and be like, he is saying he's looking for a long-term relationship. He is, coming with facts and saying like, he wants to take you out or he's serious about this and that. I think that the actions have to show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times it's very rare that a guy is going to say, oh, I just want to be intimate. Like, you know what I mean? They're not going to just say they want sex. They're going to say, oh, like I want to get to know someone long term. You know what I mean? Like they're using kind of those kind of words. So I think for me, that like I have to be like Sherlock Holmes and read between the clues and read between the words. You know what I'm saying? Like I need a Watson to come read it too, because it's like sometimes I'll be like, yo, the actions aren't lining up, and then you'll be like, yo, it's true. You know what I mean? So I think that's my answer for that one.
No, I think it's exactly like on point what you're saying. Like the actions and the words have to line up, but even just the words have to line up with their words. If they're saying they're looking, like how you're saying, if they're saying they're looking for something long term, but then they're talking all about the physical. Yeah. Like the words still need to align. You know what I mean? Before it even gets to the actions. Because then you're able to see like, is this person actually serious? You know what I mean? And like even how the Bible talks about like out of the heart, like the man speaks, you know? So it's like what's genuinely in his heart is going to be what's coming out his mouth, you know? So as much as they can talk, like they will like expose themselves in the way they speak because that's what their mind's thinking on, you know? And then if it even gets to that point where like their words are lining up, you have to now back it up with the actions to see like, okay, when we meet up, like, is he too handsy? Is he too rubsy, like trying to get close? Or is he actually asking genuine questions? Is he actually like seeing and trying to get to know me and like being a gentleman, whatever. Yeah. So it really shows like you have to kind of be a detective nowadays. And it's a lot of work. Like, you have to detect the pictures online to see, okay, is it the right man? Is it AI? Then you have to detect the words, what he's saying. Then you have to detect, like, it's so much work that goes into dating nowadays to decode what is actually happening.
And I think the hard part about it is, like, and it's not just guys, honestly. Girls are doing it too.
Girls
like,
are play.
Let's be real. Like, a lot of these guys that, like, are doing online dating talk about being catfished and filters and, girls who just want money and all these different things that I can believe obviously are happening on the back end as well. Yeah. We can only speak from our experience, like dating guys, you know what I mean? But it's a tough one because, like, even if you vet that person every step, sometimes, like, the snaky ones still get through.
They do.
How did you get into the Garden of Eden? You know what I'm saying? Like, you still slithered through the crack.
It's fast.
And got through the different gates. You know what I mean? So, no, honestly, like, because it happened to me recently. And I'm like, how did this snake get in? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I had to, like, replay back in my mind, like, well, there was red flags that I didn't see because they claimed they were Christian. And I was like, okay, well, since he's Christian and this and that, and he goes to church on Sunday and then pray upon Monday and Tuesday. No, like it was one of those things where it was easy to kind of overlook certain things.
Yeah.
So I think it's sometimes where it's like you can vet as much as you can, but you really need to have God in the mix.
That's facts.
To help you really see the red flags, and then also like not just ignore them, but take heed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it goes back to the first question you asked about like the dating fatigue. Like, do you find that because we're so tired of like going through the motions, asking the questions, interviewing this in a sense, basically, that you kind of start to overlook subconsciously the red flags that you may see come up in a conversation?
Yeah.
Because it's like your brain's not even taking it in type thing.
That definitely could happen. And maybe that's exactly what happened. Do you know what I mean? Because at that point, he was coming with some serious talk. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like he's looking for marriage and kids and wants to be in a relationship and XYZ, and coming with such serious intent and pursuit. I was like, okay, well, maybe this is like a Boaz situation. You know what I mean? Like he's pursuing me and Ray, you know? So yeah, I think that's very true. And like the Bible always talks about like, you know, the wolf wearing sheep clothing in that concept, you know, and being aware of the traps of the enemy and things like that. I think it's easy if you have a tired mind, you may see that sheep and assume it's a real sheep, but it's you know, a fox.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's something that was an eye-opener where it's like you can't, you know, get lax or be tired, or you have to be diligent. If you are actively serious about what you're looking for, you have to almost like take it as like a job. Like you're waking up and you are praying, and then you're doing whatever you're doing, connecting with people, but taking it so serious, because that is how I find these like, you know, bad guys are slithering through.
Yeah. And I think too, one other thing that came to my mind in that sense, it could be fatigue that causes you not to see the red flags, but sometimes you also see the red flags and then you're like, okay, well, let me give this person grace. Like he may have done something that you didn't really feel was good, or you kind of had that like gut feeling like, like, I don't know about that. But then you're like, you know what, let me give it a little grace. Like everybody's human. Like let me forgive. And like, so sometimes I think we might be extending grace where we might like where we shouldn't be extending grace versus like nipping it in the butt kind of thing. Because sometimes, you know, like for example, if a guy's asking you for money on like date one, it's a red flag. You know what I'm saying? But we may think, okay, you know what? Again, hard times. Everybody's going through situations. Look at the economy. Like I'll pay for the Tim's date. You know? But it's like we really have to kind of like see like, is this a characteristic trait, or is it like a one-time thing where it's like really, you know, hard times.
Don't even get me started with money, because anybody asking you for money that fast, that's a huge red flag. You know what I mean?
But it's easy nowadays because again, you're just trying to have like, you know, connect with people and whatever. But it's like we have to also like be aware.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think sometimes as Christians, we might fall into that, oh, they're so nice. And then because we're so nice, you know, we're looked at as being naive. And a lot of the times, like, people who are negative or like, you know, men and women who have alternative motive, they will see the niceness and the naiveness and take you for granted.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's like you have to be careful with that too, you know?
100%.
All right, let's go on to question number 4. How much does someone's value statement, so political, activism, mental health, matter to you before you even go out with them? I mean, not even just political, but even like religious and their values and beliefs. I mean, the value statement of the person is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. You know what I'm saying?
Because at the end of the day, that's their foundation. Like, and these are big things that can make or break a relationship,
100.
Realistically, as much as we want to kind of brush over it. Like, even if you skipped it, got to know the person, and then you finally get into that conversation, like political views, like, I mean, I don't follow politics too much, but I know it can be a big thing, you 100. Know, for example, but religion is obviously, in our case, something that we do value highly and would want somebody who also shares the same values and faith as us, you know? Yeah. So if they don't have, you know, maybe that faith foundation, it's not to say that, okay, you can't really make it work, but at the same time, it's like, are you open? Are you willing? Yeah. You know, and even if you do have that faith, like, what are your beliefs in regards to that? Because that also, too, can make you, you know, butt heads in that sense if you believe something different than I believe. Exactly. Within that same faith.
Exactly. I mean, it's like we've met girls who have dated somebody outside and married somebody outside Christianity, you know, and everyone's story is different. Everyone's situation is completely different. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously having God and praying and before doing all that stuff, like you may be in a situation even currently, you know what I'm saying? You could even be in a situation where you married a Christian man and 5 years down the line, he's like backslid and he's not for it anymore and you're still for it.
Happens.
And that happens,
all the time.
often.
Yeah.
We've seen it a few times in different, different people's situations where it's like the person was that Christian stronghold man, like with God and, someone who you can actually like pray with. And then eventually things happen in life and they turned away. So I think the value statement is important. I think, obviously all you could do is talk about at the beginning stages of dating, which is where we're at right now. And seeing their fruits. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's true they may not be full-on Christian, but they seem like a nice person, et cetera, et cetera. I personally think it's sometimes still hard, but I am realizing like, if there's a good person, I don't mind giving them a chance, giving them a shot, and kind of seeing how God leads it. And kind of going from there.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, people can change, and as you get to know them, like, they may be inspired by you, you may be inspired by them, so you really can't judge a book off by its cover, like, right off the bat, especially in this day and age, because, like, there's so many layers to people that you have to kind of peel back the first 3 just to be like, okay, is this actually somebody I can vibe with, you know? Because everybody's either going to have, like, their representative date one or, whatever maybe insecurities may play on them and cause them to act a certain way. Like, so you might not always get the true person on that first date, first conversation, first phone call. So you kind of have to give it a 1-2 layers in terms of finding out like what is this person really about? Because eventually people will tell you, you just gotta ask the right questions and listen and actually hear what they're saying,
And sometimes too, like, even how we're talking about sometimes, the person may not be exactly where you're at. Like, they could be on their journey as well. And you could be someone who's helping them on that journey.
Exactly.
Of course, the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit. And, the Holy Spirit will be the one to actively really guide that person. However, God may use you in that season or in that moment to really help, like, in whatever capacity.
Encourage them.
That kind of also makes you think of, like, what do you think about dating someone who is Christian, but they are in an earlier stage of their journey than you?
I think I'm open to it because at the end of the day, like, if that was me, I would want that person to still be open to me because, again, like, it's not like I'm saying I don't believe. I just, maybe I'm new in my faith and I don't, understand everything, but like I'm walking this journey out because nobody's perfect. Even if you're 5 years in, 10 years in, 15 years in, like, people still grow, people still learn because, again, we're all humans, we all fall short. So I'm definitely open to it. Because I think, again, everybody needs that encouragement along the way.
Yeah. And I think you made a good point because I can remember when we were coming back to Christ, you know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't 100% perfect, but we knew our hearts were good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know deep down who you are and your core values from even when you were a child, what God instilled in you, what your family instilled with you, what the environment around you instilled in you as a good person. So I think even for us, when we came back to Christ, it's like of course, there were things that changed, but there were also things that were inside us that we knew, okay, like, we are caring people. You know what I'm saying? So I would hope, like you said, like, I would hope that if there was somebody farther along in their journey with Christ than me, that they would look at me and still, think that I'm okay to date. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree. I think a lot of times we hear about equally yoked. And one revelation that God gave me, which I remember it was such a good point. When it comes to equally yoke, it's really about the yoke, or like basically like think about a tie that's on 2 ox or 2 cows to make it more modern, right? So if there's a rope between 2 cows and the rope is, tied to both cows and you're walking with them, there are going to be times where the one cow is walking faster than the other. And that rope is in between them to help them to stay connected and get back aligned. So not every relationship is going to start off with both people being equally yoked on the same playing field.
It's true.
The idea is that you are working together. You continue to walk through the farm, the field. You continue to walk until both are aligned in that aspect. And in that time, there may be a chance where you may be a little bit ahead and he's behind, or there's a chance where he's a bit ahead and you're behind. But the rope between you, which is really Christ, you know what I'm saying? The rope between you is to help you guys to stay not too far off, but to hopefully get on that synchronized walking. You know what I mean? So I thank God for that revelation because it's like, even like the horses, it's the same concept if you're having a carriage. They have to be aligned. There may be one horse lagging, but eventually it will click clean and be like, yo, I'm falling behind. Let me catch up. Or I'm getting dragged. You know what I'm saying? So Yeah.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, man.
Why? All right, go on.
He's like, let us pray now. Church has started, you know? All right. This will be our last question.
Okay.
Number 5. Okay. So let me make sure I pick a good one, actually. All right. Have you noticed trends like slow dating, taking more time to get to know someone, going slower than a few years ago? What are the pros and cons when it comes to slow dating?
I personally haven't recognized that trend.
I feel like I see it like more than ever.
Okay.
Because I think even before, yes, I was in the world, pray for us. But when I was online in the world and even before, like you said, people would link up faster. People would say, let's go on a date. Let's go to the movies. Like it was a faster, like you would meet the person sometimes that day, match with them, whatever, talk a little bit and be like, oh, you're in my area? Okay, well, let's go to see a movie. You know what I mean? Like back then, before COVID, before all of that, like people were doing a little bit more faster dating.
I see.
And you got to actually meet the person right away, see if you like them, see if there's connection. And I found that there was a connection more so because the fact that we were meeting faster and connecting faster.
Yeah.
Now, I find that it's a lot more slower. Sometimes conversations are barely even like going past the hi, how are you, smalls. And then because the conversation is so slow and everyone's busy nowadays, so
that's true. That's fair.
Even myself, sometimes I take days to respond where it's like, obviously it's not ideal. And then if they're taking days to respond, one conversation can take a full week.
It's true.
Just to literally say, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then sometimes I find because it's so slow, they don't go to the next point of, hey, let's go on a date.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So by the time you really even get to a date with somebody, it could be like a month or so.
That's true.
So it's super slow. So I don't really see much pros, you know what I mean? Unless you're being slow because you maybe live far away.
Okay.
Maybe if you're dating someone in Florida and you have to kind of talk on the phone here and there.
Yeah.
And then you meet them, in person. Then that's, I guess, all right.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. No, I didn't even think of it like that, to be honest. Yeah, I think it has slowed down then when you like say it that way. I guess the only pro, again, is like, maybe if the conversation's flowing, you can get to know them a little bit more and like see if it's somebody you want to even spend time going and meeting, because that takes time, that takes energy, and vice versa on their end. Like if they want to take time to come see you and pay for a date or whatever. So I guess that would be the only pro, maybe. Yeah. But other than that, I think in this day and age, like we kind of have to have that quick connection, like that quick spark. You always hear about it, like. If it takes too long, then you lose interest or you get distracted or somebody else may come along and take up your time and energy. So I think you have to kind of keep some form of a momentum type, kind of like you were saying with the whole equally yoked, like kind of being on the same page. Like if you're too leggy and I'm trying to like actually like get to know you and you're not keeping up, like then there's no connection there. Like it's gonna get cut
or
quicker.
There's still a connection, but like you said, it gives way for someone else to swoop in. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we should have patience, and of course, if you do have a genuine connection with someone, like you should give them the time to, meet with them and stuff. Yeah. But sometimes it's also hard where it's like, okay, well, weekends here, if you're busy, someone else might ask me on a date. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if that person gets to the date first, they may now build a better connection with me because we went on a date before meeting the other person. Yeah. And then what? Yeah. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can lose, you know what I mean? Yeah. Snooze, you lose kind of thing.
It's 100% true. And I feel like it's kind of like a funny like example, but like even on The Bachelor, for example. Okay. The girls who get the first dates, the girls who get the first rose.
Oh, that's fast.
They normally are the ones that you see progress to the end. Why? Because they met like quicker. They had that time to talk in person. They go on their little dates, whatever. Like they move forward. Yeah. And the girls who only get a little talk time when he's doing his rounds, they don't really make it that far.
It's true.
So it's like if you want to kind of stand out, you have to make the effort. You have to connect. You have to
get the
whether it's on a
rose.
FaceTime, get the impression rose. Like call me on FaceTime, do something spontaneous, so I can see like, oh, like
he's interested.
He's interested, that caught me off guard, So something to keep you at the top of the mind so that you can, again, progress further in the connection. But if you're delaying, you're going to get eliminated. Like
that's the tough one. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's the takeaway. If you're watching this, don't delay. If you're talking to a girl, ask her out. If you're talking to a guy, vice versa, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things, like, don't delay the situation.
Yeah.
It's better to really, like, I'm not saying haste, because haste makes waste.
Yes, absolutely.
But it is still better to make progression sooner than later than putting that person on the back burner and saying, oh, well, you know, I have 2, 3, 4 businesses. She should kind of understand. She should know. Yes, you have businesses, but you're on a dating app, which is telling me that you would like to start dating and find a relationship. So you got to put priority in certain situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, too, because of all the distractions in life, dating does fall to the back of the list, you know? But then it's to your point, like, if you're going to be on the app, like, at least try and be active, you know what I'm saying?
Try and make it a priority as best as you can. That's all we, like, we all aren't perfect, and I'm only talking to myself and, you know, hope to encourage somebody watching, but we got to make an effort, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us are on the apps, like, I remember there was one girl we were chatting to, and she's on the app, and she's like, oh, I'm so busy. Like, I'm using ChatGPT to answer the questions on the app. And I'm like, yo, like, you can't be using, you got to make time and priority and, like, talk from yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're that busy where you need a virtual assistant to respond to messages, then you got to have to figure out your priorities, you know? And there's no bashment. I'm just being honest. Like, it's not, I've seen people, like, on their little bios, like, oh, like, something like, I have to use ChatGPT because, like, for the profile bio. If you can't write a profile bio and you're using AI, like, I'm not marrying AI. You have to have a brain for answer. You know what I'm saying? So, again, all I'm saying is, like, make the effort, take the time. If you're tired, take a break. There's no harm in that. Take a break until you know you can come back strong and make the effort to get to know another human. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I like that point. Like, sometimes you do kind of have to step back. Because it's not a race. It's not like you're trying to rush to get married, You have to take time to find yourself. You have to take time to find what you're looking for, because every season's different. Summer, I may have been looking for something different. Now it's fall. Like, it may be something else. You know what I mean? I heard out here in the streets that cuddling season? Cuffing season?
Cuffing? I don't know.
Cuffing season. Why? See, I don't even know what the streets are saying, but
I mean, the streets were saying that before. I don't even know if that's what they call it now. You know
I don't
even
know either. But my point is, like, seasons change. Like, once it gets into that season, like, people are looking for different things. So it's okay to step back and actually see what you want, to see if, when you now are dating, if it aligns with where you are in life, basically. So we hope you enjoyed this episode.
I think that's a good
and
note
got
to
some
end on.
Insights. And really see kind of like where you're at in this season when it comes to dating, and what is it that you're looking for. And did any of these questions trigger you and make you think, like, I wonder if that's what I'm experiencing right now. So hopefully we were able to drop some gems for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, let us know. Like, let us know in the chats how you feel, if you agree, if you disagree. You know what I'm saying? Let us know your experiences as well. Like, we definitely want to hear more from you guys. And we appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, we're here to just tell you guys our experience and you know, hope that everyone can find love and find happiness and find joy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So until next time.
Yes, we will see you guys.
Take care.
Bye.